Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to be sharing with you three tips, then they're kind of three principles when you want to think about bringing mindfulness to children. So my name's Jamish. I'm author of Mindfulness for Dummies. And also just to mention that we've launched our daily Mindfulness Club just a couple of days ago, and it will be starting on the 1st of September. So if you want to get involved with that, you can. But let's get to the tips. So first of all, the most important tip I reckon I can give is to make sure you set an example. So set an example by doing your best to be mindful yourself. Having been a school teacher for 10 years, I noticed the children followed much more on my example than they did from what I told them. Sometimes, to be honest, they like to do the opposite of what I told them to do. But they always noticed how I behaved and how I was with them, how I was with the other teachers, how I behaved outside of the classroom. They noticed all that and they picked up on all of that. And their behavior didn't change so much when they were young, but at a certain point, sometimes it's literally a particular day, they would switch to almost becoming like an adult and taking things more seriously. And all the stuff that they'd taken in over all those years kind of was turned into action. So it's really easy to get into, okay, yeah, no, my children aren't behaving that well, or these kids really need mindfulness. How can we give it to them? And think about something that they need to help to fix them rather than thinking of it for yourself. But the more kind of present you are, the more mindful your children will be. The other thing I noticed is, obviously I did probably hundreds of parents' evenings where I met the parents of all the children. And, sometimes there's a link there and sometimes not, because children can be totally different to their parents, and the parents could be bringing them up in a beautiful way, and the children may or may not be impacted by that. But anyway, I did notice that with some particular parents, when they were very present with me and very mindful with me, and when I was speaking, they were really listening to me. I often noticed that similar pattern with the children too. Not always, but I did notice it from time to time. I just remember in particular with one child where the parents are really still and really present. And this child used to sit in the class right from a young age. He used to be just absorbing everything I say and picked it up very quickly. So I think there is some sort of connection there between trying to be as present as you can and mindful as you can, and the impact that it has on your children. So think about how you could do that. I mean, we've got this mindfulness club where you could practice meditation every day. It could be through doing apps. It could be through just meditating on your own. It could be just trying to set the intention to be more mindful in your everyday activities. And it's really hard to do. I know we live very busy lives, very fast lives, and it can be really hard to be mindful. But even if you do it for a minute or 30 seconds, or like I like to do, start with just one mindful breath a day and build it up from there, that can be great. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, this is something I haven't read before, but it kind of makes sense to me, is to try and do activities that involve the senses more for your children, and things that you enjoy and your child enjoys work really well. So things that come to mind are cooking and gardening and sports, things like that. Activities that involve the physical senses, being in nature, being in the forest, going to your local park, any activities. And art is another good one too, because obviously art involves the senses. They need to be present. So I'd say, you could potentially be mindful on the screens, but also it's much harder to, I would say. And so trying to cultivate mindfulness through getting them to do activities that involve their senses, which they really find fun and enjoying. And then if you could be with them too from time to time, perhaps, I can imagine that could work really, really well. So sensory activities that you do with them. So it doesn't, because with mindfulness, people automatically, or many people, think about meditation, and that's one thing. But then there's also activities you can do which are mindful too. So think about that as well. So that's my second tip, sensory activities. And then they could be meditative as well. You could just sit and you get a gong or something and ring the gong and get the children to just listen to the sound until it goes to the silence. Obviously, there's mindful breathing. There'll be mindful walking. You could do mindful eating exercises where you get them to eat something. It could even be a chocolate or a piece of fruit, their eyes closed or blindfolded and really tasting it. There's so many activities that come from this. And if you just do a Google search, you'll find a whole load of activities. But I'm going through some of the key principles here. And then my third main tip, which I read somewhere as well, which is absolutely true, is whatever you do, don't try and force it too much. Because I noticed this when I was a school teacher in a school where the children all did meditation. And whenever the school tried to kind of force it too much, the children reacted against it. And then you just got this negative feedback. It doesn't help at all. So anything that is done kind of in a gentle way, in a friendly way. I know some teachers, they say that the children actually ask for the mindfulness or the meditation because they love it. They find it very relaxing and enjoyable. So anything that you could do so you're not forcing it too much, so it's kind of more of a fun activity, I think can make all the difference. So think about ways of doing that. A couple of comments here. Someone saying that when doing family work, I used to find that children could teach their parents. Absolutely. My niece loves playing with my bell. So there you go. So that's a good one. So just playing with the bell and listening to the sound is a good one. And just playing physically with stuff, I think, is a mindful activity because, again, they're using their senses. And young children naturally are, in some ways, very sensory. But as they kind of grow older, they kind of step out of that. And they're not too sure how to handle these strong emotions and thoughts that come up. And there's no easy solution to that. But a few mindful breaths can make all the difference. So there's some of my tips. I'd love to hear yours, what you find works for you, or if you work with children or you have children and you've been bringing some mindfulness for them. Feel free to write it down in the comments below, and that will become like a little bank of place where you can look at activities or other links, or perhaps you teach mindfulness yourself to children. Feel free to share that link too. So that's it from me. As I mentioned at the beginning, it's a big deal for us. We started this new mindfulness club. It's called dailymindfulnessclub.com. It will officially kick off on the 1st of September. And it'll be a live new meditation every morning. And then you have the recording as well. So if you're not a morning person, you can do it any other part of the day. You have a new meditation to practice. So it could be a nice way of bringing some mindfulness into your day. And I know cats and dogs seem to like these meditations too for some reason. Some children may love it as well. So check it out, and I'll send you a free copy of my book, Mindfulness for Challenging Times, and also a copy of this 30-day mindfulness challenge booklet, which is quite cool actually. It's got lots of quotes and stuff. As you can see, you can journal in there, and it's got a tracker at the end too, so you can write down what you did on each of your daily meditations. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow, and thanks for your comments too. Bye for now.